In a world still chasing economic justice, one voice rises to inspire change. From the streets to the boardrooms, from ideas to real action, Cornell Cruz Jr. invites you to listen, learn, and transform. Come from the people, the community, always present, always pushing forward. Together we build opportunity, we build trust, and we build a just economy for all. This is the Just Economy Project, where equity has a sound, and the future begins with you.
And welcome back to the Just Economy Podcast. We're here today with Sui Chung, from the executive director of the Americans for Immigrant Justice. Her job is really, really tiring and really, really hard right now, really difficult. But this is something that we need to discuss. We need to have open dialogue on so we can try to make things better. So we were talking about detention and how to get attorneys to those folks who need that, who need to hopefully have the even opportunity for litigation of some kind. How do you recruit, or do you recruit the attorneys for your organization?
So I would say that there are so many people who have come forward. So it isn't just our staff. We're a staff of 125, 127 staff members right now. We are the biggest entity in the state of Florida providing services. But it isn't just attorneys that have come forward and say, we want to help, whether becoming staff members or whether it is to volunteer their time for a case, but community members. And this is really inspiring. Individuals want to support in some capacity, whether they can provide translation services, whether they can help families get their papers in order. A lot of times the process is very complex, and it is some conversation on, how can we help you produce certain types of evidence? How can we help you produce your tax returns that you've been paying for 20 years? And this type of evidence that needs to be gathered, showing your children's medical records, showing your work history, it is really time consuming. I have to say, when, U.S. citizens apply for mortgages, they gripe and gripe and gripe. I'm telling you, this is like so much harder. I mean, it is like a PhD in your own life. And I'm constantly telling our clients about their bravery, about the fact that they are sticking with it. They have to expose themselves and be able to be very transparent about their entire life history. It's under scrutiny. And so just this element of helping people, giving rides places, trying to ensure people that they're going to be okay if they have to go to a mandatory court hearing, or they have to go to the grocery store, or helping their children get to school or to church, or whatever it may be. This type of community engagement is really, really important. So we've had a lot of people come forward and they say they want to help in some way. How do I learn to help people fill in basic forms? How do I learn how to assist them in family preparedness in case they can't pick up their child from school? Who's going to take care of them? What are some of the structures and protections? I mean, we have situations where parents are deported and their U.S. citizen children are left here. What happens to them? Do they, go to the state? Does DCF take over? Who has permission to pick them up? Some of the children might not have passports. So how do they see their parents again? So it is really this concept of trying to prevent this cruelty when it comes to children and families. First and foremost, I think is really the most important piece of the work that we do. And I think that resonates with everyone across the board, that commitment to alleviating family suffering right now.
So how do we as community, all the things you mentioned, I can definitely understand it. I remember when I had to do a mortgage and trying to find paperwork and all that good stuff, and being frustrated with that process. I can't imagine how frustrating that can be to try to put the last 25 years of your life together in order to try to become a citizen. And you mentioned some things that we can that the community at large can help, because I can honestly tell you that I imagine that the only way I could help was I had to be an attorney. But it sounds like there's other things that we can do to help. And how do we engage in that? How can we help Americans? How can we help your organization in order to do this?
So there's many volunteer opportunities. We have family preparedness clinics every week, know your rights clinics as well. Information is key. So the information that we have for families that need to understand their rights, I think that U.S. citizens, community members being able to talk about that is really important. We are also funded by donations, also grants, family foundation grants, as well as we have some other government grant funding. And right now, all that funding's at risk. So even more importantly, the community, whether it's, no amount is too small or big, these donations really sustain us to go forward and be able to continue the work that we need when our grant funding, such as our federal funding, is at risk.
I know we could do donations. We could donate our time, and I think the public, you definitely need to understand this. If you're not, and Sui's going to give contact information at the end, and also along with this podcast, we'll have the website and all that good stuff. But understanding that you can contribute through donations, but also your time is just as valuable. Being able to, because as I stated, you just enlightened me on something, because I always just thought I had to be an attorney. I wouldn't be able to do it unless I was an attorney, or I could I can write a check always, sure. But there's other things that I can do, and I'm glad that you guys have programs available that they can train us in order to do that. So I encourage you to go to the Americans for Immigrant Justice and go to their website and volunteer. There's a lot of other things we can do in order to help facilitate some things. So, as with most of the nonprofits, or practically all nonprofits, funding has become a big issue, especially over the last 12 to 18 months. 12 months in particular. How are you navigating that battle?
It's really tough, very stressful, right now, in terms of realizing, obviously, we're really invested in our employees. We don't want to have to let people go. And that is a commitment we have, but the funding's not there. We have to reduce size. But I have to say, I think that attorneys and those of us with the privilege of education and being able to find employment, that is a different conversation than what will happen to the community in the field if we're not doing this work. So like I said, AI Justice, we are the biggest entity in the state of Florida. So if we needed to reduce our work or even cut some of our programs, I'm not sure what's going to happen to the immigrant community, because even now, with our 127 employees, the need is so tremendous. The need is there. And right now, I can talk about our children's legal program. We are in charge of giving Know Your Rights, doing an intake of every unaccompanied child on the Miami court docket who is in a shelter. So if we are not able to continue with that work, these children, some of them as little as 3 years old, 5 years old, many of them teens, the majority of them teens, it is impossible for them to understand or know what their rights are, what potential applications they can make, and the decisions that are being presented in front of them. They're really, really complex. And a lot of the time what happens, it is that legal advocate that is the person that that child is going to trust. So when I talk about unaccompanied children, I'm talking about children who are here without a parent, without a guardian, and by and large, most of them have been abused, abandoned, and neglected in the home country. And so they are here very, very vulnerable. And I think that a lot of times conversations on children, that's where we need to be able to come together. If we're not going to invest in children and we're willing to forget about human rights when it comes to children, then we're just going to be abandoning our commitment to human rights.
So I would think that that we also, as we talk about unaccompanied children, will we put into that pot of unaccompanied children whose parents are ripped away from them? Do we put that in that pot now as well, or is that separate?
That's a separate group,
Okay.
a separate group of children. The children that we do represent, that AI Justice exclusively represents all the children in Miami Court jurisdiction, Miami Immigration Court jurisdiction, who have been detained. That's a different set of children than this new, very rapidly growing population, which is children who, U.S. citizen children, permanent resident children, children that don't have parents because they've been deported. So it's a different group of children, and it is just based on what's happening in the landscape right now, the sheer number of individuals being arrested. These are quotas that have to be met. So we're talking in excess of 60,000 people being arrested so precipitously. A lot of times I'm always engaged in these conversations. We can't believe it's been less than a year. Just the number of families having been impacted is so tremendous. And the conclusion to that and the trauma and the impact on our next generation, we haven't felt it yet. You know, what we've done to so many families and to so many children. And we're talking about, you know, I don't want to categorize. I don't want to say a U.S. citizen child versus an immigrant child, but sometimes people want to make those distinctions. We're talking about U.S. citizen children here who suddenly don't have grandparents, suddenly don't have aunts and uncles, and more impactfully, suddenly they don't have parents or their siblings.
So are you partnering with other organizations who help serve children? Are you partnering with other social impact organizations who help serve the children and to try to help you as far as you're trying to navigate this process?
So I want to say that we have very strong partnerships. AI Justice, Americans for Immigrant Justice, being in the state of Florida. This year's our 30th anniversary. And, you know, I think we were looking at our 30th anniversary much differently, 14 months ago or 15 months ago. We're so excited to be able to say 30 years serving communities in Florida. You know, now I think that, I mean, we're just in this position where we need other entities, not just AI Justice, to continue forward and not fall away. We have to continue these partnerships and remain strong together. We have very strong partnerships. Our sister entity is Catholic Legal Services. Archbishop Thomas Wensky, that's his legal service organization, also serving the community. We formulated a coalition immediately, when we hear that this current administration, what they wanted to do regarding human rights and immigration. We really, the week after the election, started building a coalition across the state. That coalition is called RAISE, R-A-I-S-E. Our website is raise.is. There's Know Your Rights information on there. There's a hotline on there to be able to seek legal assistance. And this type of networking is really important so that if something's happening in the Panhandle, something's happening in Stewart, something's happening in Tampa, that we're able to engage our network and say, can somebody come and provide legal services? Does this person have a process that they can engage with? Or suddenly, is there a child left at home or at school or no access, and who has that ability to represent the family. So having this coalition and this network, that was really our first step in ensuring that we had some sort of response and some ability to be able to engage with the community, to let them know we're here and that we're going to continue supporting you.
Well, I greatly appreciate AI Justice, and thank you, Sui, for coming down and having such a hard conversation. It is. I've learned a few things, and definitely tweaked my interest even more so than usual. This has been a very hard conversation to have because it makes me angry. And you try not to show emotion, but you can't help it. If you're truly any type of person, a human being, you gotta have someone be emotionally attached to this. I don't care who you are, how long you've been here, born here or not. You have to be attached. So my final question, I asked all my guests. So if I gave you all the power in the world, what would you do with it?
I think that's a really difficult question. And I'm trying to be more mindful of living in the moment too. But I have to say that if I could start over, if I could redefine where we are as people, as a country, as the world, this piece about, and my mentor taught this to me, Ira Kurzban, he's a civil rights attorney and really the godfather of immigration law, to always take a principled and consistent position. We can have differing opinions. We could be from a different culture, different religion, different hometown, but taking that consistent and principled position is really important for us to be able to progress and to be able to engage. And if we can instill that in our next generation and children, and it isn't about hate and it isn't about making a population other or less, I think that piece is going to push us forward. We might be different and we might be a part of different communities, but ensuring that our children learn those skills of respecting one another and being consistent and principled about their beliefs, I think that's what I would want for us to move forward.
Great answer. I love that. Thank you so much. Before we go, give us your contact information.
Yes, I do want to talk about RAISE. Our RAISE hotline is 1-888-600-5762. Again, please go to the website raise.is. We have a detention hotline. If you have a family member in detention, please call 786-454-8554. Our family defense team also is available to do intakes, to provide consultations, 305-573-1106, extension 8008. Of course, please visit our website. All this information is there. AIJustice.org. If you wish to make a donation, it is AIJustice.org/donate. And I really hope that all of you listening today will engage with us. I want to really thank you, Cornell. It's just been such a pleasure to be here, to have this opportunity to talk about these important issues and really engage with you so that we can educate the public on what's going on. Really, that's what matters, is getting the truth, the facts out there. So much information, so much misinformation and disinformation. So being able to engage this way is really important, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Sui. I think information is power, and it's important that we know. Sui Chung came and had a great, very, very, very hard conversation to have in these days and times, and I appreciate you way more than you know. This is a very, very important conversation. I sit on the board of St. La, and St. La caters to the Haitian community, and the Haitian community is in desperate fear right now, and trying to navigate how we're going to help those folks is really, really trying on my soul. That this country is treating immigrants the way we're treating them, even citizens going through what we're going through, and worrying about if I get pulled over, what's going to happen. But thank you for coming and having a very hard conversation. At least for me, it was a hard conversation and gave me a lot of knowledge. I envy people like you who take on these missions, because I know it's got to be difficult, not just on yourself, but your family as well. Taking on these missions and taking on this interest and doing what needs to be done and continuing that fight. Thank you very much, Sui Chung from AI Justice, who was our guest today on the Just Economy podcast. Thank you again for your attention to the Just Economy podcast. Again, if you'd like to come on and talk about your mission, talk about your organization, please contact me, Cornell at reinvestmentalliance.org. Until next time, we'll see you again on the Just Economy podcast. Thank you.
In a world still chasing economic justice, one voice rises to inspire change, from the streets to the boardrooms, from ideas to real action. Cornell Cruz Jr. invites you to listen, learn, and transform. Coming from the people, the community, always present, always pushing forward. Together we build opportunity, we build trust.